Before we jump to anything,
Yes.
how was Ibiza?
Ibiza was unbelievable. There was just so much, Paulie, from just the experience of being around the people I was with, and then the caliber of execution from the production team was next level.
Yeah.
And then the quality of conversations as well, and then the amount of lessons for me and insights for me that I got as well.
That's amazing.
And then, lying on the beach at 25 degrees Celsius when everyone else here is in bomber jackets.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's not fair, but like sometimes it's like you've earned it.
I've worked hard for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for many years, and like this is your thing. Don't take it away from me.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was great. It was really fantastic. I'm so grateful.
It's such a nice thing to be surrounded by like positive people and positive things. But is it just me, or like have you noticed that people seem a little shorter with each other lately? Like a little more frustrated, a little more impatient, negative. I don't know if it's winter. I don't know if it's the economy. Maybe it's this news cycle. Maybe it's even the fact that everybody feels like we're just carrying a little more than we were a year ago. But wherever you look at it, I think people are tired, emotionally tired, mentally tired, physically tired. So today, I thought we'd ask the question, why is everybody so negative lately?
Why is everyone over it?
You know what? You said it. There we go.
Everyone, I feel like, is just washing their hands clean and stepping back. So all of it is true, Paulie, what you mentioned there, where it could have something to do with winter. There are so many studies and research that shows what happens when there's less light, and the serotonin and the melatonin in our brains, and how it links to through our eyes rather, to our brain. So that is something that is absolutely valid.
Yes.
And then if we look at the news, global and international, how everything is wired and biased towards the negative, because negativity sells. So it's a great structure for media to make some money, and that's kind of how
propaganda,
how news, click rate throughs, etc.
Rage
baiting. Drives me nuts when I see those videos. And then also information on social media. Never ever in our lifetime, in the history of mankind, have we had to filter out so much information. Our brains don't have the capacity to filter out as much as it does.
Instant
so we're
gratification.
Overwhelmed. It's the instant gratification too, for sure. So our brains are overwhelmed. We don't have the energy, the capacity, emotionally or physical, and of course it's all linked because it's all holistic. The one affects the other.
Yeah, that's it.
Then, of course, if we accumulate that with what's going on in the economy, people
petrol
are feeling
price,
a bit strapped,
blah, blah, blah,
all
blah.
of it. The safety, security, what's going on with the rand, the dollar exchange, etc. It all adds up. It's all impacted. So we can't say it's just one, which is actually a good thing, because it means also that there's not just one solution. That can be something almost as a relief, that we can look at, okay, well, what is the collection? What is the recipe in all of this? And what are the different ingredients contributing to our negativity, overwhelm, etc.?
I have spent, particularly getting well over the last few weeks, I've spent a lot less time, and I say a lot less time. My phone will tell you how much less time I've spent on social media. And not only do I think it's a good contributor to me getting better faster, because I've not had to absorb this negative stuff. So I'm not saying I'm going off social media forever. I'm just saying, like, these last 3 weeks have been pretty much a revelation for me.
Cutting back a little bit.
Yeah, a lot, actually. And somebody actually said to me, like, you don't post on your stories anymore. We don't see it. Like, are you okay? And that's when I open the door and I say, I've been unwell, blah, blah, blah. But do you think it's just winter, or do you think like there's something deeper going on how negative everything feels about now?
I think we've also lost a lot of our capacity to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. You mentioned to it just now about instant gratification. So, if something's uncomfortable for me, I change it. I walk out of a conversation. If I don't like the taste of this food, I return it, or I get something else. So I think the access that's been available to us now as well is very different than before. So I feel like our muscle to cope with challenges, with difficulties, with pressure isn't quite the same. We've gotten a lot more lax. Actually, interesting, I had a conversation with Simon Mirren, the co-creator of Criminal Minds, while we were there. So this was pre-panel. So we were just chatting, getting to know each other. And he's in the AI space. I mean, what that man spoke about was next level. And we were chatting about, with ChatGPT and AI, how easy the answers are for a lot of the kids these days. If we go back a few decades, almost said millennia for us. A few decades ago, where, it was encyclopedias. We had to manually
find it.
flip
You had to go to the library.
We had to do a lot of work to get one answer.
No, agreed.
Where now it's, 2 seconds you can have the answer. So I think our tolerance levels for discomfort has also added up to it. We're always looking for an easy life. And I speak about having ease in our lives and experiencing more joy in our lives. But it's very different to easy. So it's being comfortable with the uncomfortable. So I think we're so desperate to feel more joy. We're chasing happiness that we almost think that it's either or.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
Completely. If I'm not blissfully happy 100% of the time,
I don't need to be
the
miserable
opposite is that
100%
I'm miserable.
of the time.
That's it. So I think we've lost touch there.
So do you think it's fair to say that life is genuinely harder for many people at the moment, or do you think it's just about perception and where we're placing our focus?
I think perception, Paulie. Personally, if I look back, people have lived through times of wars and famine and plagues. So I don't know if what we're going through now is more difficult than World War I or II or the Black Plague or pneumonia plague or any of that.
You went straight to plagues. Wow.
Well,
hello.
or the pandemics. So why I'm trying to compare the two is I don't know if we can say that what we're going through now is harder than what anyone else has been through in the history of life.
I think there's levels to this thing.
There's levels, and I think it's the filters as well. And that could be part of the information in the media that's coming at us, where we've romanticized and idealized what others' lives look like. And because our lives don't look as seamless as the others, we compare it internally and start making everything in our lives negative. So I think it's part that filter that you mentioned. A lot of it could definitely be the filter.
Do you think our brains are actually wired to notice the threats and the problems about our positivity? How much of what we're experiencing right now is just simply human nature? Because I don't feel like this is what we were originally designed to do.
Interesting. So we were actually created to have a negativity bias that's wired in all humans. And it's our survival wiring. So we are more prone to notice threat, and threat could be something physical or emotional, psychological. So we will notice that first before we notice the yellow daisies on the ground, for example. So we are actually wired. It's not just in our heads, it's part of our makeup. And what has happened is that because we've become so entrained to that, and because of our lifestyles now, we're living in constant fight or flight. Our minds more and more and more are looking for opportunities for, or not opportunities, but opportunities for danger or threat. So that filter has become, I think, a lot more honed towards negativity than towards, think of someone that is living on a farm in a sanctuary with animals that isn't dealing with the day-to-day pressures that we are. So, and we've, there are so many studies around the areas in the world where people are happier and calmer and live longer. It's not the city centers. So where we're at also definitely makes an impact into our well-being, and we have to be a lot more conscious of it when we are in these environments.
How do we shift this, pragmatically, and not with mantras, as I call them, or forced positivity, but with things people can genuinely implement in their daily lives?
Look, I love a mantra. You know this.
This I know.
But we'll look at some other mechanisms or biology-led techniques and tools. So you know that one of my favorites is somatic techniques. So before our minds have an ability or the opportunity to go into the negativity spiral, how can we change our actual physiology? Because our bodies respond quicker than our minds do. So, where we flinch or where we trip up and we're balanced. So if we can rely on our bodies more, or our connection to our bodies, and trust our bodies and put them in an environment where they feel safe, it is going to influence our mindset, the way we're showing up. So that would be, for example, if you and I are in a stressful conversation and it's starting to get really heated, is to say, look, we need a break. Let's physically step outside. Maybe not together, so it depends on how you say it. It could sound a bit more like a threat. So an invitation for us to change our physiology.
That's hilarious.
Where we're just, it's not walking away from the person, but it's rather, I need space for my body to calm down. I need that breath. I need that pause. The pause is another one. Before you react, the pause or a breath helps you respond, because it gives you enough time and space between the emotion and the trigger with how you want to show up.
Got you.
So think of when you're in a heated conversation, we don't always take time. You just go at each other. So it's the going at each other that heightens the negativity and the hype. So if you can catch yourself just before you're about to blurt something out, literally take a breath.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be back in a little bit. We'll be talking a little bit more about why everything feels so negative lately, and what we can actually do to shift us. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us. I also want to hear about just one thing.
Yes.
You need to give us a little more info on how that's going.
Amazing.
But we'll do that in just a little bit.
Thank you.
Talking about negativity and why it feels so heavy, and all that stuff right now. You often talk about protecting your energy and protecting our peace. How do we become more intentional about what we allow into our emotional space without disconnecting from the world, like in its entirety?
Such a good question.
Ta-da.
Such a good question. And it's something that really changed so much of my life over the last few years. So recovering people pleaser, which I've mentioned before, which meant that I was allowing everyone and everything into my space. And, if someone was going through some kind of storm, I was in the storm with them, as opposed to, because also, people that experience high empathy and that are high sensitive people, which I am, I totally tick that box. We can kind of step into the storms and get in there with people. So feel it all. And I know we've spoken on another episode, is if I'm not feeling it with you, then I don't care enough, was my interpretation.
Yes.
And for many people. So instead of staying warm myself and just standing there with the towel and a hot cup of cocoa, that's also empathy. So you can deal with your storm, and then when you're done, you can come in and I'm here to support you. So that's actually empathy, not necessarily going in the storm. So protecting your own energy is look at where you're running into the storms to sort everyone else out, and then you don't have enough capacity and space for yourself.
Absolutely.
So I had to look at that. It was so hard for me.
It
was uncomfortable. And because that was my identity, wherever helping, making a difference, taking on other people's stuff, fixing everything is your identity, you're going to find it very challenging to change that pattern. But it's a pattern. It's not, we think of our personalities as being solid and in stone, and we can never change them, that they're immovable, but they're not. They're completely changeable.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we'd all like to think that we are like made of steel. Like we'd all like to be for the people who are not allowed to say this, but for super people, you're not allowed to say Superman anymore.
Oh, aren't we?
No, not allowed to say Superwoman either.
Oh, I did not know this. This is
no, you're not allowed to. What is it called? When you
wonderful woman, wonderful humans,
wonder person.
No,
it's not a manhole anymore. It's a person hole.
Yes, that's right. We spoke about that.
How much influence do the people around us have on our mindset? Like, can spending time around consistently negative people actually affect how we experience life ourselves?
Wow, yes. There have been so many studies done. One was Harvard and some other business schools that looked at just one negative person in a team. So if we're looking at a corporate structure or business structure, just one person in a team can decrease the whole team's performance and well-being by 30 to 40%.
Wow, that's crazy.
Within an hour, Paulie.
That's crazy.
So absolutely. And again, depending on your empathy level, how you are with others, how much you take on can absolutely affect you. And of course, there are times when we have to be around certain people. You know, to your point, we can't just isolate ourselves and live in a cave the whole time. But then is there a way that we can limit time with them where it's, okay, you and I work together, but instead of us going into these conversations where I feel completely depleted by you, It's saying, okay, either reframing what you and I are speaking about, saying, okay, I hear you. I'm so sorry you're experiencing that. What else can we do? Is there something you can do? And then changing the conversation. So the person feels heard and seen, but limiting that time. Or saying, this is family, for example, but I'm not going to spend the whole Sunday there because I feel miserable by the time I've left. I'm smiling through my teeth. I'm gripping and bracing myself and saying, all right, I'll come for dessert. Sorry, thanks, got lots to do. Would love to see you, and limit your time. And we are going to offend people just by the nature of us being human.
That's it.
But ultimately, it's about our well-being. So yes, knowing that there could be and probably will be consequences to us starting to preserve our energy and our well-being. But it's either you're pussyfooting around everyone else and their emotions and their egos, or you're saying, I see you, I appreciate you for who you are, and perhaps your role in my life, and also things need to change for me. So agreed. It's definitely looking at who's in your life that is maybe contributing, or you're feeling that how they show up in your life is contributing to a lack of well-being for you. What can you do about that relationship? Is it a relationship that you want to continue to invest in? Is it contributing to your life overall? If it is a relationship that needs to stay in your life, how can that relationship change in terms of how you show up for the relationship? Time, physically, your energy as well, that you're not buying into it. And then also a big thing, it's part of the work I do is saying, is this mine? It's asking. When you're unpacking on me, you're offloading, you're venting, but you haven't asked me for permission, which also we aren't taught to ask people for permission. We just go. But it's me, and it can be silently saying to myself, okay, is this mine? No, I'm not going to take this on. It's not mine. I'm going to focus on what my body's doing. So if I'm starting to feel anxious while you're talking and venting and offloading, I'm going to go inward and ground myself. And again, this is biology, this is mechanical, this isn't just woo.
Sure.
But I'm going to look at, okay, what is my body doing? Everywhere I'm bracing and tensing, take a breath into those muscles and relax those muscles. Feel my feet connecting with the earth. If I can feel that my feet are tapping or shaking, or my hands, relax my shoulders, take a deep breath in. So there are things that we can do while that is going on.
Sure. If someone listening today is feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, stuck in that negativity cycle, what's the one small thing that they could do this week that could genuinely make a difference?
I think first, I always reference self-awareness. Sometimes we don't even notice that we're being negative unless someone points it out to us. So it's perhaps looking at how we're showing up overall. Maybe a few things have been going wrong, and then I've bought into that cycle of negativity. So for example, I told you that just before or just after I left home, before I got here, I reversed into a pole. And there were a lot of reasons, and I can look back at, okay, if this had happened, that would have happened differently.
So if you know a good panel beater,
911.
084.
0800 help.
Man.
But it was something that, look, and I might have said a few expletives to myself, but because I knew we were going to have this conversation, it was interesting because I started paying attention to how I could have reacted between then and arriving here, because I was cut off in traffic. Someone did stop and didn't drive, and those are the little things that if we aren't aware of, when one thing goes wrong, they can start compounding. And then our entire day becomes negative. And sometimes that's when we get into that habit of negativity, because that's what it is. It's a habit. It's a pattern.
It is, yeah.
And it can happen so quickly. It's a fine line. So perhaps one thing that can completely shift the way we're showing up in our sense of joy and ease and peace is reflecting, well, where am I not showing up with ease and joy and peace for myself? So it's kind of taking that conversation inward. And then it could be also is reaching out to someone in your life, and it could be those that feel very deeply. So the empaths, the highly sensitive people, because we do feel a lot more intensely. And I can feel more connected to you as well, which will shift things for me. If I'm feeling like a better friend, if I'm checking in on you as well, like, Paulie, how are you doing? Are you okay? I know that a lot's been going on in your life. And it doesn't need to be a big unpacking situation, because sometimes that's why we avoid checking in on people.
Because we think it's going to be this big thing.
Completely. But it's started from the beginning saying, I've got 10 minutes. So I'm sorry that this is going to be a rush conversation, but I wanted to check in on you. So there are ways that we can circumvent certain conversations and protect ourselves while still staying connected. So it's staying connected with ourselves and then being connected with one other person that we truly care about.
Got you. If we want to re-listen to the conversation, so get in touch, say hi, how's it, all that stuff, where do we find you?
So petralaranjo.com, Laranjo. Would love to chat with people and connect and see what's helping, what's working, what isn't, what do you want more of. This conversation will be live on YouTube at 8 p.m.
Yay!
I've had some gremlins, so let's hope it goes live. If it doesn't, please don't judge. Send us love and contributions, if anything. Or I need to, like I keep saying, adopt a millennial to help me figure out my tech. But yeah, petralaranjo.com on all social media, all platforms. And yeah, let us know what's resonating for you. And if you have questions, you can send me anonymously as well.
Coming up in the next week or two, being in the month of men's mental health. And we'll do that in a week or two before we end May, is something that is very personal for me. And as many of you know, I'm trying to champion the autistic journey. So I think it might help us if we unpack it together, so that we all understand.
I'd love that.
What it is.
I would love that. So maybe we flip it around and I ask you questions.
Yeah, that's there we go.
That could be fun.
Talk to us about before we got to jump out of here. Talk to us about what's happening with Just One Thing 365.
Yes, so thank you to 919 FM, who's been incredible and generously sponsored us 3 months of airtime for the campaign. So grateful. I've been sharing that socially as well. And what we're doing, the big campaign that we're doing right now, is a blanket drive for pets in need.
Yes.
Because thousands of pets have nothing. I mean, you and I are sitting here, you're sitting with your puffer jacket. I've got a massive scarf on. We're indoors where it's nice and warm. Outdoors, a lot of animals literally have only their fur to protect them against winter. And fur is, equivalent to wearing a thin little jersey. It's not much. So we can do something. And the simplest thing, I always pare Just One Thing 365 down to be as simple as possible so that it's doable for everyone.
Yeah.
And just one thing that we're inviting people to is to donate just one blanket.
Gotcha.
New or used. It can be a used blanket, your dog's or your own, towels for insulation, dog beds, jerseys, hoodies, which can be converted into animal jerseys and hoodies.
Gotcha.
But anything. And I've shared information on the website, which is the words Just One Thing. Yeah. And then the numbers 365.com or social media. But if you go onto my platforms also, you'll see the links there. So Just One Thing 365.com. We have some blanket drop-off venues. If there are any other people that want to join us as blanket drop-off venues. Gotcha. Or drop off at your nearest animal shelter. And the big ask I'm going to ask is to please take a photo of the donation. It doesn't have to be of you. It can literally just be the donation, and tag us on social with the number of items. And the reason being is because we're aiming for 919 blankets, and we want to keep track of how many animals that we can help together. So it's quite a cool thing that we can do as a community.
Gotcha.
Let's see how many of these little beasties we can help. Doing just one thing, one blanket at a time, and then tag and share the posts so that we can get more momentum.
Gotcha.
And tag your colleagues, your friends, your family. It's Father's Day coming up. That could be a cool thing to do as a family.
Yeah.
Let's all go through our cupboards and donate just one thing.
Let's do that. Just one thing, the words, and then the numbers 365.
That's it.
Amazing. Friend, thank you. Always a pleasure.